Welcome back to the Bitcoin economy. We have Andrei Poliakov, CEO of APX Lending out of Canada, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you were one of the first. You're one of the first Canadian exchanges. One of the first ways to buy Bitcoin. Um, like we have you here at Bitcoin Conference 2025 in Las Vegas. First, welcome to the show. Second, what brings you here? What are you excited about?
Yeah, so should I grab a? Yeah, right. So I've been in this industry for almost a decade at this point in time. As you mentioned, in 2017, I launched a company called Coinberry out of Canada, which became one of the first regulated crypto trading platforms. And I ran that business for about 5 years. Ended up selling it, or we got acquired, I should say, by a company that recently actually got acquired by Robinhood. Funny enough, so. I'm gonna stop by the Robinhood
Yeah,
booth
we
here
saw
and say
Vlad
hello.
up there.
Exactly, I'm gonna say hi to Vlad. But after I exited my previous business, I was sort of observing what was happening in the crypto-backed lending space and the implosions of BlockFi and Celsius and those companies, and I realized that the same approach that we had with my previous business, which is regulation first, safety and security first, risk mitigation first. Whereas that was applied to the crypto exchange business, could be applied to a crypto lending business as well. And there had been there was no leading regulated crypto-backed lender in the world really in 2022, 2023. And so we launched Apex with that vision in mind of building the world's leading regulated crypto-backed lending platform. And so we are based in Canada. We are a global platform. We currently operate in Canada and the US. Very soon we'll be expanding into Australia and New Zealand and Latin America and internationally thereafter. But right now we are available in Canada and the US. What's really unique about Apex Lending is that in April of this year, we became the first CSA-approved crypto-backed lender in Canada. So we are approved to provide crypto-backed lending services by the Canadian Securities Administrators coast to coast across all provinces and territories, which is very exciting. We're the only platform, the only company in Canada that's received this sort of approval. And so for us, bringing liquidity to Bitcoin holders in a safe, secure, and compliant manner is key and core to mass adoption. We're not going to have mass adoption in this industry unless we start bringing services, products, and businesses to end consumers that are safe, that are secure, that are regulated, and that are scalable. And that's what we focus on. That's what I've been focusing on for the last 10 years of my life. And really, really excited to be here at the conference and in Vegas. And you can really tell, I was just listening to Vivek actually up on stage, you can really tell the energy and the shifting really ties right now. Everybody's focused on Bitcoin. With the new administration in the US, I mean, this is the new financial sector reality. And so for us to be here in the US, in Vegas, talking to people at the conference is an honor, and it's really the next step in the evolution of Apex. We already have a US presence, but really we're going to be expanding that presence, bringing our regulated lending platform into the US market in a more structured manner. And so that's part of the reason why I'm here, and very excited to talk to a lot of very smart individuals, very passionate Bitcoin maxis. Thanks for having me on the show too. I should have started with that. Should have started with thanks for having me on the show. Here.
Yeah. So you mentioned the big political changes, right? So Canada's not an easy market either, in a lot of ways, to get the regulations needed to be able to operate safely. And we look at like maybe the big shift that we saw since the last Bitcoin conference in Nashville. You have two presidential candidates speak. Howard Lucknott's on stage speaking, and was that a big factor for you in the past like 3 to 6 months since that last conference, that the political tide has shifted in the U.S. to support, the whole asset class and Bitcoin specifically?
Right, yeah. I mean, look, I think it's not a surprise that everybody in the industry is happy with the current administration's outlook and support for crypto. I mean, it's it's a complete 180 from the previous administration, the way the SEC went after the industry, Operation Chokehold and all of those things, where companies would have a really hard time just getting basic banking because they're in the crypto space. Unfortunately, for us in Canada, that's still a reality, and it's coming from Canada and seeing how advanced and how much faster the industry is advancing and developing and evolving in the US, it brings, it gives me a lot of concern because again, back home, it's a very different story. The sort of the big financial institutions, the banks, the federal government is not necessarily as supportive of the industry, and so it is a grind. It is an uphill battle. We've been very fortunate in that we developed great relationships with our securities administrators in Ontario, where we're based. Like I mentioned, my previous business, where we were the first crypto trading platform to get licensed. With APX now, again, the first crypto-backed lending platform to be licensed. But these are not, these processes take a lot of time. Even with APX, it took us over a year and a half to get licensed or to get approved in Canada. So it definitely is an uphill battle. When you build a business that has the proper, focus on risk mitigation and safety and security, though, a lot of doors open, and the regulators are willing and happy to listen and work with you, and we are a testament to that. But is the bigger picture in Canada as bright as it is in the US? No, unfortunately it's not, and I really hope to see that change soon. Because I'd hate to, as much as I love our American friends, I'd hate to see Canada fall behind in a very vital, time, at a very vital time for the financial industry globally, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's.
Yeah, and Andre, how do you like? We have a lot of listeners, that we're introducing to lending as a concept, not lending as a concept, but Bitcoin lending, and you pointed out at the beginning, hey, you had BlockFi, you had Celsius, you had a lot of these businesses that were like really on shaky ground, were not transparent, did not have the right compliance controls in place. As we wrap up, what are some like things that you would like to communicate to our listeners around like what you guys are doing to like bring Bitcoin lending into the modern world in a safe and secure and compliant way?
So that's a great question because I do use those terms a lot, safety and security. But what does that actually mean? So for one, we talk about the safety and security of our borrower's collateral. When you borrow against your Bitcoin, and we provide over-collateralized loans, so we take on more Bitcoin than the loan that we give out because that's the security against that loan. And the number one concern that borrowers have, and I used to be a borrower like this, I used to use platforms like this. Your number one concern is I've just given you $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, you're giving me $50,000 worth of loan. I can't sleep at night because I don't know where my other $50,000 worth of Bitcoin is. So we've solved that at a business design level, at a regulatory framework level as follows. When we take on our borrower's collateral, that collateral is not rehypothecated, it's not reinvested. It sits with a licensed insured custodian for the entire duration of the loan in segregated cold storage wallets. So if I have a Bitcoin from you and you've taken a loan for $50,000 from me, that Bitcoin sits in a cold wallet, which is segregated from all of the other clients' wallets. It's actually even segregated from your own other loans. If you have multiple loans from us, each loan is in its own separate wallet. And it's insured for the duration of the loan. And because of that, it's visible to you as the borrower on the blockchain, because you can see that wallet. So you don't have to trust my annual audit, and then the next day after my audit, who knows where that coin went. You can, at any point in time, check your wallet and make sure that that Bitcoin's there 24/7 on the blockchain. That's one of the key really attributes that we brought to the table, is that at the core business design level, we do not yield farm, we do not reinvest that Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, that Bitcoin actually remains yours in title and ownership for the duration of the loan. Now, it sits in our wallet because that's our security, and if you default on the loan, then we have to sell the Bitcoin. But it remains yours in terms of property for the duration of the loan, which is also key. Now, another thing that we brought to market is a very flexible product, and I'll tell you a little bit about the product as well. So we give out loans backed by Bitcoin and also Ethereum. I know we're at a Bitcoin conference, but we do give out loans backed by Ethereum. I'll tell you, about 95% of our business is Bitcoin-backed loans. We give out loans from 20 to 60% loan to value. So if you have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, we'll give you up to $60,000 worth of loan. Our liquidation LTVs are very, very high. We liquidate at 90% LTV. So your Bitcoin has to really drop in value before that collateral is liquidated to pay off the loan. We're able to do that because we have a phenomenal proprietary algorithm that marks to market our entire loan book on a near continuous basis. So our technology is really world class, and that allows us to bring to market a very flexible product. And it functions like a line of credit. You're able to top up your loan with more collateral, get more loan. If the value of your collateral rises, you can take more loan out, or you can take some of that collateral out. So it's a very flexible product, from 3 months to 5 years in term, and with very, very, very competitive rates. And again, the key is not even the flexibility, the key is not the rates, the key is the security and the safety. Now, we are regulated by the Canadian Securities Administrators, or we are report into them, I should say. So we are SOC 2 audited, we go through financial audits, we report into the regulators. So there's that all part of the business, the policies and procedures. But at the end of the day, none of that means anything unless you can see your collateral on chain for the duration of the loan, and that's what we bring to our borrowers. We allow them to monitor and watch that collateral, have that peace of mind, and bring them that transparency.
Yeah. And Andrei, as you've probably seen, even Michael Saylor's getting a lot of questions about proof of reserves. Where's the Bitcoin stored? And it is part of the ethos that everything is transparent on chain. That is a fundamental part of why people use blockchains, why it's a good technology. So I think there's a whole argument on the treasury company side, that they can have, but I think on the lending side, it makes a ton of sense to give people that security of, hey, here's your assets. We haven't been lending them out. It's the same Bitcoin that you have title to, but we're going to hold as collateral until you pay that loan off. But Andrei, amazing conversation. We're going to keep deep diving into this stuff, and would love to have you back on, but enjoy the rest of the conference.
Awesome, thanks for having me.